Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're tackling something that literally affects every single one of us, human behavior. We're going to break down some of Dale Carnegie's absolute classic principles for interaction. If you've ever felt that frustrating friction in your daily conversations, or kind of felt like you just couldn't get people on the exact same page as you, well, you're in the right place. We're unpacking exactly why friendly influence works so much better than force, and how you can actually use these techniques today.
So, is winning an argument actually a loss? Look, we all have this deeply ingrained urge to win interactions, right? To prove that we're right and the other guy is just completely wrong. But I want to challenge that instinct right out of the gate. Seriously, think about it for a second. Is a temporary victory of logic really worth the cost of making someone else feel inferior?
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our blueprint for friendly influence today. 1. Escaping the argument trap. 2. Guiding instead of correcting. 3. Asking instead of ordering. And 4. Identity, names, and interests. Think of this as your personal toolkit for becoming highly persuasive without being manipulative.
Part 1. Escaping the argument trap. When we try to defeat someone with pure logic, what usually happens is we just end up damaging their pride and losing the relationship. Dale Carnegie observed thousands of arguments and came to this brilliant, profound conclusion. The only way to actually get the best of an argument is to avoid it altogether. Why? Because 9 times out of 10, an argument just ends with both people being even more convinced that they are absolutely right. So even if you win the logic battle, you still lose. You've bruised their ego, you get this fleeting sense of victory, but you've permanently damaged the relationship. It's honestly just not worth your time. Section 2. Guiding instead of correcting. Let's look at a real-world example from the source material. Meet Wayne, a wood chopper who specializes in oak, and Carl, a builder who mostly works with pine. One day, Carl orders some oak wood from Wayne. But when Carl inspects it, he is extremely frustrated. He thinks it's terrible quality and flat out refuses to pay for it. Now, Wayne is the expert here, right? He realizes Carl's inspection is way too strict, and he's just misinterpreting how to actually assess oak. Wayne knows for an absolute fact that Carl is wrong. Most people in Wayne's shoes would just snap and say, "Carl, buddy, you're totally wrong." But Wayne completely bypassed that temptation. And this brilliantly illustrates our point, because instead, he used a friendly, cooperative 3-step process. First, he asked curious questions about why Carl felt the wood was bad. Second, he emphasized future cooperation, basically saying, "Hey, I'm just asking so I can give you exactly what you need next time." And third, this totally non-threatening approach allowed Carl to realize his own mistake. Since he wasn't on the defensive, Carl's whole attitude shifted. He admitted he didn't know oak very well, started asking Wayne for advice, and realized the bad judgment was on him. He ended up happily paying for the wood. That is the literal magic of bypassing the words, "You're wrong." Moving right along to section 3, asking instead of ordering. Think about your roommate for a second. If you march up and say, "Hey, Clarence, do the dishes with me right now," that's a rigid, honestly hostile demand. But if you shift that to, "Hey, Clarence, could you please give me a hand with the dishes?" You're aiming for the exact same goal, but the sheer friendliness of a question changes the entire dynamic. The psychology behind this is all about autonomy. Autonomy is just that feeling of having a choice. When you frame a request as a question instead of a demand, you make the other person feel respected. You give Clarence a sense of control. And because he feels like he actually has a choice in the matter, he is going to be far more responsive and willing to help out. Ordering people, that just creates resistance. Asking creates partnership. All right, section 4, identity, names, and interests. Take a look at this incredible childhood strategy used by Andrew Carnegie. He understood the immense power of a name from a super young age. So as a kid, he had this nest of pet rabbits, but absolutely zero food to feed them. So what does he do? He strikes this genius deal with the neighborhood boys. If they would go out and gather enough dandelions to feed the rabbits, he would name the bunnies in their honor. And it worked perfectly. He effortlessly got these boys to do the hard work of gathering food simply by leveraging the immense power of their own names. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how that childhood tactic actually scaled up into the corporate world. Years later, Carnegie is in this bitter, highly competitive rivalry with a man named Pullman over the sleeping car business. During a meeting one evening, Carnegie just suggests they merge their companies and work together. Pullman listens, but then he asks the million-dollar question, "What would you call the new company?" And Carnegie responds with one simple idea. Why, the Pullman Palace Car Company, of course. Pullman's face immediately brightened and he said, "Come into my room, let's talk it over." That exact same naming tactic secured a massive business merger. Absolutely wild. But, what if you forget a name? Well, the source points out that asking for a name multiple times is always better than just ignoring it. It shares an anecdote about meeting a girl named Amy in class. The speaker didn't catch her name the first time, asked her to repeat it, and even had to ask a third time later on. And sure, I know it feels super embarrassing to ask repeatedly, but the longer you leave it, the more awkward it gets, right? People genuinely appreciate it when you actually put in the effort to learn their name. There's another story about a classmate named Tom. Just randomly remembering his name the following week and saying, "Hey Tom, how are you doing?" left him totally surprised and thrilled. It's such a tiny effort, but it yields a massive positive reaction.
If there is just one lesson you take away from all of this, it's to talk in terms of the other person's interests. When the speaker finally asked Amy about her spare time, the floodgates opened. Music, dancing, cooking, family, you name it. When he simply followed up by asking what she reads and what she draws, Amy got incredibly excited. She had this long outburst of sharing and eventually admitted she kept all this bottled up because no one ever really tries to get to know her that way. She was just so thankful to have someone actually listen to her talk about her passions. If you overwhelm a conversation with their interests, they will absolutely love you for it. So, the crucial point is that this friendly influence toolkit vast outperforms any ego-driven approach to communication. Number one, avoid arguments entirely, because you literally can't win them without losing the relationship. Number two, never say you're wrong. Guide them to the right answer instead, just like Wayne did. Number three, ask questions. Don't give orders. Give people their autonomy. Number four, remember names. Hey, it works for pet bunnies and million-dollar mergers alike. And number five, talk in terms of their interests. Which brings us to our final question for this explainer. Who can you use friendly influence on today to transform your relationship? I really challenge you to test this toolkit right now, today. Instead of demanding something, try asking. Ask about a friend's hobby, and then just listen. Seriously, if friendly influence built empires and secured million-dollar mergers, just imagine what it can do for your daily life. Thanks for hanging out and focusing in with us today, and keep learning.